Hello, hello, hello. Come on in the room. Happy post Thanksgiving. Happy last couple days of November. Happy Friday. Come on in the room, get settled. We will start shortly. Get comfortable. Hope you all are well. Hope you guys had amazing holidays. Hope you had just as much joy and celebration as you did rest. If this is your first time tuning in, hello, I am Soleil. I'm founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I'm Coven Mother of Vision of Dawn Tour, and I am your weekly reader. I come on here several times a week just to give us little check-ins about the energy around us, shoot the shit about what's going on in pop culture. That's what we're doing today. That's what happy hour is for. Same way that you would shoot the shit with your friends at happy hour after work, that's what we do here together on this segment. Not expecting a whole lot of people tonight. I know we just had a holiday. Some people are probably still traveling, probably still cooking and hosting people, but y'all know how I am. Consistency means the world to me, and I want to make sure that I don't break my streak of making sure that I go live at least twice a week. Hello, Artistic Tea. Hello, Tiffany. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. As you come into the room, just say hello, say hi, hit the scale emojis. If you know, you know. But definitely say who you are and say hi so that way I can say hi back to you. Again, happy hour is where we come together. We kind of just talk about things, gossip a little bit. But I try to do it in a way where we at least learn something at the end of it, because it doesn't make sense to just talk about shit if you're not going to be able to apply it to your own personal life. Hello, Super Czar. Hello, Sphinxa. Sfinsa. I'm going to say Sfinsa. I think that's how I pronounce it. But yeah, Tori, Adi, K, why it's showing the names different. I don't know what that means. Tell me what's going on, Artistic Tea. If so, I will try. Oh, it's Tori. Oh, hey, Tori. If you recently changed your YouTube name, it's probably showing it that way. But yeah, if you haven't already got something to sip, go ahead and get yourself a little glass of wine, make your cocktail, do whatever it is you need to do to get comfortable. I do have leftover Shiraz from the cooking I did yesterday, so that's what I'm sipping on right now. Tonight I want to talk, so I came on here when I made this live stream yesterday. I had plans on talking, I knew I wanted to talk about Summer Walker, because that shit is crazy. But I had plans on talking about another celebrity. And then in between naps and work today, I saw what happened with Ray J. And that made me have the desire to switch the topic. Because we have to talk about, and I love us for real. In the words of Monique, I love Black people. There's nothing I love more than being a Black woman. It's a huge part of how I understand the world, right? But we have to have some serious conversations about the lack of maturation in our community, and the dangers that it causes, and the complications it causes in people, right? We just have to be honest with ourselves about that. And when I heard about what happened with Ray J, and when I started thinking about Summer Walker, I was like, okay, that's going to be the thing. That's what we're going to focus on today. We have to have this conversation. There are, and you guys have probably heard me do, and I know I didn't do a charm school lecture for this month of November, but I got through the month of November. That's all I care about. But in previous charm school lectures, you guys have probably heard me talk about the spiritual consequences of not having emotional maturity and the kind of complications it can bring into one's life. So we're going to use both of these people, this young woman and this grown-ass man, as opportunities to talk about that and what it looks like. Hello, no name. No one to you. Everybody's changing their little handles. Hello, Nicole. Good to see you. Again, I'm really grateful everybody's here. I didn't think that we would have a good turnout just because it is after a holiday. Um, but let's get into this Summer Walker situation. How many of you guys know already what's going on with Summer Walker? What has transpired in her life over the last 2 weeks? Um, for those of you who don't know who Summer Walker is, she is an R&B singer. Um, R&B singer from Atlanta. Been popular for a while now. I started first hearing her music around 2019, 2020. She's always been someone for me who I wish I could be one of those people who's like, I don't care about your personality. I just care about the music. I don't care about the drama or the scandal around you. I just want to pay attention to the music. I'm not that person. Um, if I know more about your personal life and your drama than I do your music, that's a turn off for me. I think she has a pleasant voice, but she's not a powerhouse singer. Um, I think she has a beautiful voice, a lovely voice. But when I think about like singer, she's not that for me. The thing about her is her lyrics. She's very vulnerable. She is a good songwriter. I put her very much in the school of Janae Aiko, where it's like the voice is okay, but the songwriting is the thing. It's the link. It's the draw, right? But Summer Walker's behavior has always been weird. She's always seemed deeply unhappy, deeply resentful towards other women. It's never landed well with me. And then she was also in that wave of celebrities that really, I don't judge anybody's spiritual walk because it's not my place to talk about it. But once she started, practicing Ifa and posting things consistently, I had some concerns and some red flags because I wasn't seeing the change in her lived behavior, if that makes sense. But let's talk about what has happened in the last few weeks with this young lady. Okay, Summer Walker, audio was leaked of her begging to be the side chick or the slide. I learned the language of a slide this week. I didn't know what a slide was. She was literally begging to be the side chick or the slide to a young man named Rich the Kid. Another word that I learned this week, I had never heard of a Rich the Kid. I didn't know who this young man was. So when she's talking about all the money he has and how he spoils her, that was a surprise to me because I'd never heard of this young man. But if he's wealthy, it is what it is, right? But audio leaked of her basically telling him, like, look, I don't want you to leave your family. I just want to be with you. I want to be your slide. You can put me in your phone as Pizza Hut. I'm actually not trying to disrupt your family. I want you to stay with your family. I just want to be able to fuck on you and get gifts when I feel like it. Now, that's very, very bold. That is very, very bold. But also very sad. Very, very sad. The hypocrisy in having made a whole career on singing songs about men being unfaithful, men not keeping their end of the bargain in relationship with you, only to turn around and be the kind of woman that has caused you that kind of pain, that's made you write these songs and have this reputation as a sad girl R&B artist. It's really gross, right? I would love to say that I'm surprised by it, but I'm not. She has always struck me as the type of woman who is in one-sided competitions with other women. She has always given me a pick-me energy. I've never gotten somebody that's invested in sisterhood from her. So I'm not surprised that she would not only be willing to be in that kind of arrangement with somebody, but would be bold enough to leave them a voicemail begging to be their side chick. Now, that audio leaked. It went all over the internet. Good thing I have two lighters here. It went all over the internet. And instead of her being embarrassed by it or walking it back or doing any bit of cleanup, what does she do? She does exactly what pick-me's do, women who have unnecessary competition with other women do. She went on live and attacked his fiance slash baby mama and basically talked about how she don't compare to her because she's not rich. Um, and that she's crazy because she fights people who he cheats with and all this other stuff. Now, there are so many things I can say about the lack of emotional maturity in that behavior. First of all, these are all people who are grown. Nobody is under the age of 21 in this scenario. These are all grown people. I had to look up Summer's age. She's 29, going on 30 years old. This is not a baby we're dealing with. So to put this kind of information out there in the world like they don't have children that are going to see this at some point, extreme lack of emotional maturity. Most people who struggle with emotional maturity don't know how to think about how their actions have consequence over their children. They just don't. They will weaponize their children and they will pull them out as, tools of war, the way that Ray J did. And we're going to get into his ass in a little bit, right? But most people who struggle with emotional maturity don't understand how their actions have consequence over their children. I know that some of you guys are dealing with the name change stuff, but if we could talk about the topic, like get in on that. We'll worry about the name change on YouTube stuff later, okay? As long as I know who everybody is and as long as you guys participate in the conversation, that's what matters most, right? But in addition to her not thinking about how this impacts her own reputation or her children, I think there's a really fucked up thing that emotionally immature women do where they use men and the conquering of men as a way to fight with other women, especially other women that they are threatened by. And here's what you need to consider. Tory Bricks has looked like that for most of her career, for most of the time that she's been a public figure. I never thought that Summer Walker was an unattractive girl. Even before the surgery, I thought she was pretty. But women who don't think that they are beautiful will always have venom for women who are not only beautiful, but who have made a name from that beauty. Okay? And it's not lost on me that a lot of the surgery that someone allegedly, all this is alleged, even I'm alleged, it's not lost on me as an observer that a lot of the surgery that Summer Walker has gotten has been to make her look like a woman like Tory Bricks, right? Has been to adjust her body to be more voluptuous, has been to narrow her own features, right? So, and then the diabolical behavior of wanting to befriend this woman in order to learn about the things that make her sad or learn about what's wrong in her relationship, only to turn around and weaponize it. That's so childish. It's very childish. And now here we have this grown woman with an amazing career who's only being talked about because she literally begged to be a man's side chick. That's insane. That's insane. I just don't know who these people are except for Ray J. It's okay, love. I didn't know who some of these people were until it happened this week. But again, I wanted to talk about her because I think that she is a really good example of what happens when you don't work on developing emotional maturity and the kind of spiritual consequences that come up when you have a lack of emotional maturity, right? One of them is that you repeat generational patterns. Summer has talked about, not in a whole lot of detail, but talked about not having the best relationship with her mother. She's talked about in her music and in interviews about feeling like her mother chose men over her, right? So, yeah, when you are not emotionally mature, you are somebody that does not have the discernment to understand when you yourself are engaging in actions that replicate a generational curse or a generational pattern, right? So that's how you end up with women who are always in conflict or competition with other women because they either watched their mother or their female elders behave that way, or God forbid, even worse, their own mother may have been in competition with them for the attention of men. That's something that's really prevalent, and I didn't realize that until I became an adult, because thank God me and my mother never dealt with that. My mother was an older woman. She understood her age. She lived in her age. She never saw me as her competition. She only saw me as her daughter, right? But that is a learned behavior, and it is a generational curse. I had a friend that I fell out with a few years ago. We fell out for different reasons, but this was somewhat related. All she did was sit around and gossip and talk about people and incorporate her daughter, her preteen daughter, into that gossip and talking about other people. And then guess what her preteen daughter did? She started going to school and gossiping about girls at school and bullying girls at school and getting in trouble at school for being a bully. And it's like, okay, well, can you be shocked by this? This is all you do. This is how you bond with other women. This is how you bond with your own daughter. Are you surprised that she's now taking that out into the world? Again, that is a level of emotional immaturity. Not understanding your role as an elder, not understanding that you have a role and a responsibility in not replicating certain generational curses. Children think that everything is about them. Children think that their personal experiences are deeply unique to the point where it doesn't ripple out into their community and then to their families. So when we are emotionally immature, we don't think about how either we hurt other people or how we replicate spiritual patterns, generational curses, right? So that's one thing. But the other thing when we're emotionally immature is that our shadows become the drivers of our behavior, right? If you are deeply insecure as a woman, if you don't believe that you are truly beautiful, if you have wounds around being picked, being chosen, right? Male rejection issues, whether that came from issues with your father or whether it came from being bullied by other, because we don't talk about that enough. A lot of pick-me girls are obsessed with being able to dominate other women because they may have been bullied, especially in grade school and middle school, by men or boy children around them. And so how do they vindicate that in adulthood? By coming, look, remember when Jenny Jones and those shows used to do like, Nerd to Hot and all that other shit? Khloe Kardashian had that revenge body show. That is an obsession of a pick-me. This belief that I was not seen as beautiful in the ways that I wanted to be as a child. So I have to get revenge on other people, whether it's the men who rejected me or the women who were chosen, by being able to take up space, right? But that's also a shadow issue, because why don't you just think you're beautiful? Why don't you just find yourself as worthy? Why does your worthiness have to be defined by being able to take someone's man or take up primary space as like the only beautiful woman in the room? Why don't you trust that it's possible for you to be beautiful in the space of someone else who's beautiful as well? Those things aren't mutually exclusive, right? In some cases, an emotionally immature adult creates a parentified child. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Thank you for sharing that, No Name Still. That's absolutely true. A lot of emotionally immature adults create parentified children. And they will gloat about that. They will brag about, oh, look at little Susie. I know she's only 5, but she'll make breakfast for the whole house. Why is a 5-year-old making breakfast for the whole house? Yeah, when I'm falling apart, my children come pick me up. Why are your children responsible for helping you with your emotional regulation? Right? That's a really important point. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I remember those I used to be fat, now I'm all that episode. They were so messy. They were so messy. If you like messy TV, Jenny Jones was like the pinnacle for messy talk shows. Those shows were so ridiculous. But yeah, those are, I don't want to stay on Summer too long, because I do have readings after the segment is over. I want to make sure I have a heart out for 9:30. We can come back to her as a topic, but let's talk about Ray J a little bit. Let's talk about Ray J for a while. I feel like Pick Me Energy can be aware of their looks, but that is all they have. That's true. Most Pick Me's are hyperfixated on their looks, but it's almost like some of them don't believe it. One of the things that I've encountered and I've learned through this work and through experiences I've had with previous spiritual environments, I'll say it that way, is that, give me the word, Spirit, help me be diplomatic. It's important to raise your girls to believe that they're beautiful. No matter how unique they are, no matter even whether they don't have to be feminine presenting, raise your female children with the belief that they are uniquely beautiful and whole. One of the most dangerous types of women you can ever encounter are women who weren't told that they were beautiful until they reached adulthood. And the reason why they are so dangerous is because for them, beauty becomes a competition. And that pick-me spirit of believing that they can be the only beautiful woman in the room, that they have to be the most beautiful woman in the room, they believe that because they are moving from a spirit of scarcity. Imagine the emotional and spiritual scarcity you have to operate from if you made it all the way to 18, 19, 20 years old and no one has ever told you you were beautiful. And I've seen women develop unhealthy attachments to the first person that told them that they were beautiful. I've watched them get used as pawns and get kicked around in really, really fucked up ways. But again, because they have such a codependent relationship to that insight or that breakthrough with that first person telling them that they're beautiful, they don't see anything wrong with it. Tell your daughters that they're beautiful. Tell them that they're perfect. Tell them that they're whole. It makes them stronger for when they get out in the world, and then they don't get used by other people as puppets, okay? Speaking of women who are beautiful and made reputations off of their beauty and now are dealing with the consequences of the limitations of that beauty, let's talk about Ray J and Princess Love. Let's talk about Ray J and poor Princess Love. Seeing that clip of her clutching her daughter and shaking like a leaf because her child's father had the audacity to pull a gun on her, that broke my heart. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm feeling emotional right now. Whether it's what happened with Princess Love, if you guys don't know about Girl La La La, when we get off this live, please look up Girl La La La. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to do a segment about her and her murder, but I don't have the heart to. There's such a normalization around domestic violence right now in pop culture. And it frightens the life out of me, right? Whether it's E. Kane getting beat on lives, whether it's Girl La La La, who was literally getting beat for, if I'm not mistaken, years by her partner and now has lost her life at the hands of her partner, to now Princess Love on Thanksgiving Day, shaking and holding her baby and scared because her baby's father pulled a gun on her. That is insane. That is a level of emotional abuse and psychological abuse that I wish on no one. I don't even wish that on my enemies. And I got a ton of hating ass bitches who wish for my downfall. And I wouldn't even wish that on them. That really broke my heart. My mother told me I was beautiful all the time. I didn't see it because it was what media portrayed. I think late 80s, early 90s. The 80s and the 90s were a really tough time. Colorism was so awful during that time. We've made a little bit of progress. We still have a long way to go. But it was hard being a chocolate girl in the 90s. I can speak from experience. Artistic tea. I didn't see what happened. Apparently, Princess Love went to Ray J's house with her cousin and her cousin's husband, along with her children, with the intention of cooking Thanksgiving dinner and them all being together. I'm unclear about the details of what set Ray J off, but he was on one of his tirades. Um, and the clip that's going around on the internet is after he pulled a gun on her and threatened her. And so she's trying to get her children to leave the house. And he's saying, "You're drunk. You're not going anywhere with my children drunk. Look, you're drunk and you're trying to drive. All of y'all are drunk." And you can tell he's lying. I've been in a situation like that where somebody abused me and then they started screaming, "Look at her. She's crazy. She's crazy. She's bipolar. I don't have bipolar. I don't have any. I don't have any. What's the name? I'll just say I don't have any severe mental health issues. The only thing I have is PTSD because of abuse, right? But they knew they were wrong. They knew they harmed me. So they started getting very, very loud and telling a lie to make me seem like I was in the wrong, right? So even when he was screaming, "You're drunk, you're drunk, you're drunk," she didn't even look drunk. She looked scared. She was shaking and holding her child. And she just kept repeating, "You pulled a gun on me, you pulled a gun on me, you pulled a gun on me." And then the video ends with what I believe is Ray J and the other male in the house having some sort of physical fight where the other male had to subdue Ray J. He got arrested, as he should have, because why the fuck are you pulling guns on the mother of your children? Tiffany, I see your love offering. You'll be the first one in line for the at the gate reading. And I'll explain to that people what that is once we get through the conversation. Absolutely heartbreaking. But what does it have to do with emotional immaturity? Ray J is the personification of emotional immaturity. Ray J is 45 years old. Ray J is 45 years old. I'm going to repeat it again. Ray J Norwood is a 45-year-old man. And this 45-year-old man is so emotionally stunted and immature that not only all he wants to do, apparently, he don't want to make music, he don't want to focus on his businesses, he wants to live stream. This nigga want to be DDG when he grows up. He wants to be the streamers, the Kyle Sanats, the people that are half his age. And so all he does is stream and tell his personal business and throw people under the bus. I've been over him ever since the last few weeks when he's shown up. He's dated some little girl that's half his age that looks like old Kim Kardashian before the surgeries. And all he does is get on those live streams and verbally abuse that little girl. You're a 45-year-old man that gets on live stream with a 25-year-old girl that looks suspiciously like your famous ex-girlfriend, and you verbally abuse her, and you tell her you don't love her, and you talk down to her, and you literally verbally abuse her until she weeps and cries on the live stream. I don't know what's wrong with Ray J. I don't know if it's the drugs, but all I know is that none of these things are the behavior of a 45-year-old man. None of these things are the behavior of, and let this be a lesson that money does not change you, you change yourself. You only become better when you make the decision that that's what you want to be. But Ray J has the emotional maturity of a stunted 14-year-old. For him to get on that live and threaten his own child's mother with a weapon and then default to lying as if he's not on camera was absolutely insane. The DV content on social media should result in a ban. It's out of control. I'm scared. There, you can look at the statistics. There's been a rise in domestic violence since COVID. The quarantine made the numbers spike, and my hope was that things would go down. For whatever reason, it's only gotten worse. And people think it's cute. People think it's cute to record themselves being abused by their partners. People think it's cute to get online and abuse their partner. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. It is absolutely heartbreaking. That man is damaged as F. I've seen folks act out on holidays for attention, narcissistic. That part. It wasn't just that he did it, it's that he did it on a holiday. And even that was purposeful. Even that, and you're absolutely right, narcissistic people will wound you on a holiday because they want you to remember it. They will do it on holidays, they will do it on special occasions because they want you to remember the pain they caused you, their reaction, their ability to control your joy. They want you to remember that more than you remember the actual event or the holiday. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry on this camera. His emotional need of significance isn't being met, and he will try to get it by any means necessary. But that's the problem. You got to be significant to you. If this were a confident man, if this were a man that believed in himself, he wouldn't behave this way. Hey, Sanidra, good to see you. I'm glad that you got to join. Kids watch Twitch streams more than TV. It's scary. It is scary because a lot of the reckless shit that these people be doing on these Twitch streams is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. People are literally shooting people. Like, there are non-famous people who have literally gotten murked on live streams. There's an impulsivity that gets revved up by people who have no control, right? But I think one of the spiritual consequences of emotional immaturity, we see it operationalizing through Ray J, and that's the difficulty with cultivating power, right? Real power comes from self-respect. Real power comes from discipline and integrity and a belief in yourself. You can look at Ray J and see that he has no discipline or integrity. Ray J's body is fucked up. Ray J is bad built. And Ray J didn't always look like that. Ray J looks bloated. Like all he does is eat Takis and drink alcohol. Like he's bloated and out of shape. And I remember when he was it the Verses that he was on? And people were talking about how badly he sounded. I wasn't surprised that he sounded that bad. You have to have a strong body in order to be a good singer. And people don't talk about that enough. The breath control, the ability to stand somewhere and sing over long periods of time, you have to be in shape to do that. And Ray J, who lives off of brown liquor and fried chicken, was not in shape the way that Mario and Omarion and all these other people were in order to get up there and put on a good performance. Ray J struggles from discipline. You can tell that Ray J has been spoiled in a way where he's detached from reality. And when you add drugs and trauma and other things onto that, it has only made somebody who is deeply entitled. That is one of the other spiritual consequences of a lack of emotional maturity, is that you become deeply entitled in a way that that detaches you from reality. Do you remember when he went live with Cheyenne Bryan and he was drinking straight from a bottle and she cut the live? I did not see that. I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised that he did it because, again, he thinks shit like that is cute, and it's not. It's absolutely not. I think that the damage he's done to his career with this most recent stunt, I think it's going to really cause a lot of difficulty for him in terms of his career. I really do. I knew something was wrong when he was saying that he and Brandy don't talk anymore. Because him and Brandy always were like this. Don't judge my fingers. I know half my nails are broken. My appointment is not until this weekend. But that's another thing, is that when you lack emotional maturity, it's hard to maintain relationships. Emotional immaturity harms your closest relationships, right? Because instead of dealing with your relationships through vulnerability, through growth, through transparency, you harm your relationships through blame, through impulsivity, emotional dumping, avoidance. And we saw all of that in that video. Even after being arrested and released on bond, this man is not taking responsibility for his actions. He's blaming everything on Princess. He's saying that he had a right to pull a gun on her because she shouldn't have been taking his children out of his home and out of his bed. If you are loading a gun in a house with my children, I'm removing my children as well. She wasn't wrong. But again, he's so used to blaming everyone else. It's everybody else's fault. Nothing about him and his integrity. That's a response of emotional maturity. Have you ever noticed that a lot of people who are emotionally stunted don't have long relationships? Single black female. I know I have not done a podcast episode in a minute. Single black female was like that. She always had all these new friendships popping up. They were always people significantly younger than her. She was in her mid 40s, but all her friends were 22, 25, 27. No long-lasting relationships. I thought they were done years ago. They split, but very much in an Offset, allegedly, situation. He won't sign the divorce papers. This, again, talking about narcissistic control and narcissistic behavior, it is hard to divorce a narcissist because they will hold up the divorce proceedings on purpose. He's been banned from Twitch, and rightfully so, because you cannot load guns and threaten your family with guns on Twitch. But he's been banned. Thank God, because he should not have access to that platform right now. But yeah, emotional immaturity will harm your relationships. And here's the thing, relationship harm is a form of karmic debt. I know I didn't teach a class in November, but the free class for December for Charm School is going to be about karmic debt. I think it's a concept that people don't fully understand. And because they don't fully understand it, it's easy for them to engage in behavior that creates karmic debt for themselves. But yeah, when you damage relationships with a lack of accountability, you rack up karmic debt. You do. And this is somebody who's harmed his own family, allegedly. I'm not saying physically, but if he's not talking to his own sister, something went wrong. This is not even the first ex we've seen him mistreat. We were introduced to Princess Love by him arguing with her, not being able to handle it, and him pushing her into a pool. He could have drowned her. And it's become a meme. It's become something we make fun of. We were introduced to them as a couple through him engaging in an act of violence against her. And this was like, what, damn near a decade ago? So no, it's not surprising that this has escalated to a point where he thinks he can pull guns on her and shit and nothing goes wrong. That is the danger of when abuse is normalized. There is no magical, I'm just going to wait it out, I'm going to calm down, I'm going to let them settle down. No, when they get away with the small shit, they think they can get away with the big shit. And that's how it escalates to him pulling a gun on his ex-wife on live. How it escalates to that fucking brute beating girl Lala to death. Literally shooting her. Abuse escalates when it goes unchecked. And the karmic debt that gets racked up from mistreating people this way. It's a lot. And this is a young man, and I gotta stop calling him a young man because he's fucking older than me. This is a man who's racking up a lot of karmic debt because of the way he treats people. So again, we need to consider, and we'll talk more about this in the class in December when we talk about karmic debt, but we have to be aware of our emotional maturity, where we are in terms of emotional maturity, how our lack of emotional maturity, whether it's a shadow or a blind spot that we have, how that creates certain patterns in our lives. How that puts us in positions where we not only betray and embarrass ourselves, a la Summer Walker, but how we end up being in a position where we lose everything we work hard for, which is what is about to happen to Ray J. You cannot pull a gun on a woman. because she wants to remove her children from a toxic environment and think that everything is just going to be sweet after that. You can't. All right, I'm not seeing a whole lot of comments, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to accepting readings. The reading that I have for tonight actually has nothing to do. Well, it's not directly related to the topic that we were gossiping about, okay? Let me see what KFS is saying. I just want to say this before I get into what I'm saying. Ray J and Nick Cannon both seemed to reject their good guy, corny guy TV image they had as younger people by becoming deviants in their personal life. And that is a lack of emotional maturity. I'm going to say this to you. Nick Cannon didn't only have a reputation of being corny in the industry, he had a reputation of being corny in San Diego, okay? I'm not from San Diego, but it's a city I spent a lot of time in, and I once had a best friend that lived there. Nobody saw Nick Cannon as like a poppin' dude. And I think in his mind, he thought allegedly, everything I say is alleged, he thought that the fame was going to make people really fuck with him, and it didn't. There's something that happens in particular with men, and I think it happens with women too, but the manifestation is different, where when their masculinity is challenged, they become hyper obsessive with being able to subvert that. And I think Ray J tried to do it through the gang shit, and Nick Cannon did it through, I got a big dick and I'm just going to get a bunch of women pregnant. It's a lack of maturity. It's them being emotionally stunted where they experience the wound, right? I was a teenager that people treated like I was corny. And even though I'm a grown-ass man with millions of dollars, I'm still emotionally stuck there. So how can I get the attention and respect of men who in my younger years did not respect me? And what do men value the most? They value physical brute force, right? The power and ability to scare people, which is what Ray J thinks he has through the gang shit. And they also value whether or not you can conquer other women, which is what Nick Cannon is focused on. Major arrested development. Absolutely, Superstar. Absolutely. So I think it's really important, and it's not something you have to do all the time, all day, every day. But I think through your spiritual walk, checking in with yourself periodically to make sure that you're moving from your adult self and not your wounded child self is deeply, deeply important. Listening to that recording of the live stream that Summer Walker did, she sounded like a teenage bird. She did not sound like a 29-year-old, world-renowned, accomplished businesswoman. She sounded like a 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old bird that's about to fight somebody in front of a rainbow because she got caught fucking her husband. It was tacky. And it showed the ways in which she's emotionally stunted. Are we operating from our adult selves? Or are we letting our wounded inner child, our wounded inner teenager, show up and take on the driver's position? If we're doing the latter, we really got to step in and do some things to protect ourselves, okay? I want to take some time to do some readings for people before I log out. Again, I have a hard out before 9:30. So you guys know that I'm doing the 2026 forecast readings. We are literally in the last 5 weeks of the year of 2025. Okay. I know this year has sped by. It's gone really, really quick. But I think a lot of us really need to think about what needs to be left in this year, what we need to release, what we need to leave behind. So for tonight's reading, I'm doing what I call the leave it at the gate reading. What do you need to leave behind in 2025? If you want to figure out what you need to call in for 2026, again, book a forecast reading with me. There's both the full version where you get the natal chart breakdown and the mini version, which is just the tarot spreads. But for tonight, we're going to focus on, okay, what do I need to go ahead and do the work of releasing in these final 5 weeks of 2025 So it doesn't follow me. I don't carry it. I don't accidentally lug it into 2026 with me. Okay. So this is a 3-card spread. You guys know minimum donation of $11.11. You can send it to my Cash App or my PayPal, both of which are scrolling below. We're going to start with Tiffany because Tiffany paid first. Tiffany didn't even give me time to describe the reading. She was just like, I'm ready. I'm down. I'm up for it. So we're going to go with Tiffany first. I'm just pulling up the spread now. If anybody else wants a leave it at the gate reading, if anybody else wants to figure out what they need to leave behind in 2025 so that it does not disrupt or color their experience of the year 2026, go ahead and put your name down, sign up for the reading. Once you've sent in your love offering, just put a comment in the comment section and I will get to you as soon as I can. I have a new/old deck that I'm going to be working with. You guys remember saying that I kept losing the Tarot of Divine deck, so I bought a new one. Hopefully this one stays with me, but we're going to be using her for this reading tonight, okay? Let me get a sip of my wine, and then we'll get into it. Tiffany, you still here? Let me know you still here, because I'm about to do your reading. Do you go over this in the full reading? It comes up. It definitely comes up, absolutely. If you guys are interested in booking the forecast reading, this weekend would be the best time to do it. The Black Friday sale is always my largest sale. I give my largest discount of the year, which is 35% off if you use the code BLACK, BLACK. This sale ends Monday at midnight. It will not be extended. I know some of you guys are used to, messaging me and being like, Mambo, can you give us an extra couple days? And then I'll be extending shit. I'm not extending this one. I'm not. This is my biggest sale. So if you want to get 35% off of your reading, go ahead and head over to soleilconjureshop.com. Put that reading in your cart and use the code BLACK, BLACK, at checkout. Tiffany, you here, Tiffany? Tiffany, put a comment in the comment section so I know you're here. I'm going to do your reading anyway, but I want you to be able to see it. I want you to be able to receive it in real time, okay? Ancestors, what does Tiffany need to leave at the gate of 2025? What does she need to release that she cannot carry into 2026? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. So the dead weight, which is talking about what drains you, what may be blocking or weighing down your spirits. We have the 5 of Cups, right, which is the card of crying over spilled milk. A huge part of what drains you is that there's a hyperfixation on something you've lost from your past, opportunities that may have not worked out. And there's such a focus on those that it's hard for you to see what's actually working in your favor. It's hard for you to even be aware of the cups that are still full so that you can nurture that. You spend a lot of time nurturing your failures, your mistakes, and not enough time nurturing what works for you, okay? In the position of the lie that you can no longer tell yourself, your intuition is actually really sharp and you can no longer afford to lie to yourself and live in the delusion that your insight is not as strong as it is. Page of Cups can be really comfortable with taking the back seat, right? They can be really comfortable with the delusion or the escapism that they don't have power and control. but it's also a highly psychic and intuitive card. So for you, the lie that you can no longer tell yourself is, I'm still a student. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have insight. You actually do. You're very, very intuitive. And so there's no point in continuing to lie to yourself and confuse yourself and tell yourself that your first instincts, your first intuitive downloads are not right. Your Ori is very strong. So stop denying her. Okay? The door that must be closed. I love this one for you because I've been hinting at this in the last few readings, and I don't think you believe me. But the door that must be closed, Two of Cups. Relationship is coming. Two of Cups in reverse, you have to release the belief or the understanding that you have to do everything by yourself, that there's no one else who's going to pour into you equally, right? I think there's a part of you that's been avoiding romance because and this could probably be related to this Five of Cups. There's a false belief that you have that if you get into a relationship, it's going to drain you. It's not going to be reciprocal, that one person always has to give more than the other person. That's not true. It's not true at all. And if you leave that belief in 2025, it's going to be easier for you to be open to the love and the partnership that comes to you in 2026. Okay? So that is your Leave It at the Gate reading, Tiffany. I don't know if you're still here or not. I hope that you are. Is there anyone else that would like a reading before I go ahead and wrap up for the night? There's not a whole lot of activity in the comments for some reason. Is there anyone else that wanted a Leave It at the Gate reading so that they can know what they need to really take the next 5 weeks to focus on releasing? Okay, Tori. Tori wants to Leave It at the Gate reading. I got you. If there is anyone else that wants to Leave It at the Gate reading, go ahead and send in your offering. All right, no name. I got you and I got Nicole. Send your reading in whenever you can. Awesome. You said it definitely resonates. I love that. I'm glad that it resonated with you, Tiffany. That makes me happy. All right, Tori, I'm going to highlight you so that I don't forget who I'm talking to. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits, you are with me. Elevated ancestors. What does Tori need to know about what needs to be left at the gate in 2025? What does she need to leave behind? What does she need to leave in 2025 so that she can move into 2026 with a lighter load, with a peace and ease that allows her to move about unencumbered? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. You've been telling me love is coming. It keeps coming up for a reason. And be grateful. Be grateful that your spirits are letting you know what you need to do to prepare for it. There's nothing worse than like having love pop up out of nowhere and not being ready. All right, so Tori, in the position of the dead weight, right? What it is you need to, what's draining you and what's weighing your spirit down, you deal with a lot of indecision. You waffle back and forth. And Two of Swords is the debilitated side of Libra energy, right? Even when you look at the Two of Swords, it's sitting in a way that's very similar to the Justice card. I think a lot of what you do in terms of how you move, thinking that it is going to, give me the word, Spirit, help you make the best decision actually puts you in an energy of suspension, right? And this can happen a lot of times with Libras where they're doing so much overthinking because they want to make the best decision. And that overthinking can easily turn into stalling and stagnation. So for you, the dead weight comes from you're doing a lot of overthinking, you're afraid to make big decisions, and it's causing you to stall in a really particular way. The lie you can no longer tell yourself, you have the false belief that you're not loving or that you're hard, and you're not. You're actually very easy to love. You actually have a really big heart. When you let people get close to you, they fuck with you, right? Ace of Cups, receptivity, the card of the open heart chakra. When Ace of Cups comes up for somebody, it's not just that they have an open heart. It's that people feel so drawn to them that they want to pour into that openness. So you got to stop telling yourself lies about, being awkward or being, being tough or being closed off. Those are choices, but that's not your general or your genuine come from. People actually really love and fuck with you. So you got to release that false belief. For you, the door that must be closed, you got to stop focusing on what scares you. You got to stop focusing on what hasn't worked out from the past, right? This Nine of Swords energy is nightmare energy. And it's like you spend so much time losing sleep, losing peace, focusing on what hasn't worked out. You got to let that go. That is a habit you cannot take into the next year. You have to leave this at the gate of 2025, because with the amount of opportunity that's coming to you in 2026, you can't meet it with suspicion. If you meet it with suspicion and hesitation, assuming that it's just going to not work out or it's going to bring you calamity, then it probably will. But you got to let it go. Okay? All righty. We have No Name and Nicole next. We have No Name and Nicole. I'm going to do No Name first, and then I'm going to do Nicole, if that's all right. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, I'm glad that resonated with you. I'm glad that was helpful for you, Tori. And we can talk more about it further if you want to at another time. If there's anyone else that would like a reading and would like to have their reading done after I've gotten through Nicole's, go ahead and send your love offering and put a comment in the comments section so that I know to look out for you, okay? Sisters, angels, ascended masters, spirits walk with me, elevated ancestors. What wisdom does No Name need about entering 2026? What do they need to release and let go of and leave at the gate of 2025 so that it does not stagnate, stall, or delay any of the blessings they are meant to experience and live through in 2026? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. All right, Kayla, the dead weight. What you need to leave behind. And I find this very, very interesting. The thing that is draining you, that's blocking you, that's weighing your spirit down is the Page of Wands. And this is a really interesting card. The Page of Wands is known as the card of the messenger, right? So in addition to being an energy of somebody who has big dreams and ideas and who's figuring out how to root that into reality, they can also be the person that's always bringing information, always delivering a message, right? Always cutting through with the action or the wisdom that someone else needs. And that sounds beautiful, and it can be beautiful, but the deficit that's attached to that is that you're always making someone else's life better to the detriment of your own. So what Page of Wands, because the pages are all students, they all have a lesson. The Page of Wands needs to learn how to focus on their business and their own execution of their dreams first, as opposed to feeling like it's their responsibility to help everybody else execute their dream and their shit. So that's something that is weighing you down. Being the messenger and the gift giver for everybody else. And even though it's not happening in a purposely neglectful way, you're doing it because you're passionate about being that way, but it also means that you put yourself last, right? In the position of the lie that you can no longer tell yourself. Whew, this is a heavy one. We got the Seven of Swords. I hate this card. I hate this card. I don't hate any tarot card, but I hate the energy of the Seven of Swords because it always represents that it's like someone who's manipulating you, someone who tries to get over on you. And Seven of Swords represents the self-sabotage of not meeting people where they are. There are people in your life where you know they ain't shit. I don't know any other way to say it, right? You know that they're not the best people. They don't have the best intentions. But it's almost like you feel like if you don't engage with it, that protects you. It doesn't. It only makes you prey to what they can potentially do to you. I got you, Super Czar. I'll get you next, okay? I'll get you after Nicole, rather. So the Seven of Swords coming up as, you know, as the lie you can no longer tell yourself. You can no longer turn a blind eye to other people's bad behavior. You can no longer read a hope and a faith onto when you know somebody's being manipulative, don't make excuses for them. Just see what they're doing and move accordingly. Be strategic and protect yourself. Okay? So that's a lie you can't tell yourself any longer. That everybody has good intentions. That everybody wants to be their best. No, some people are deeply broken. And some people low-key get off on being broken, right? I know you're somewhat new to my lives and my classes, but I've taught classes in the past about perpetual victimhood, right? And a lot of times people who are perpetual victims are that way because if they can manipulate other people into doing their dirty work, their hard work of living life for them, by acting like they're so broken they can't take care of themselves, they benefit from that. So again, a part of the difficulty is that you love saving, you love being the answer, but then it also puts you in a position where you get manipulated. The door that must be closed. This is an interesting one. We got the Hermit. A lot of the over-helping people is actually putting you into isolation, and you don't deserve that isolation. You just don't, right? So the Hermit is coming up in terms of the door that needs to be closed is you need to use this time to really analyze that the Hermit is analysis, Virgo energy, being critical, refinement. It's really important time for you to really critique a lot of your habits that are putting you in the position where you get manipulated by other people. And how that puts you in a position that when you have needs that need to be met, or when you have things that you want to work through, how does that put you in a position where you're constantly doing it on your own, as opposed to having help and support? You need to leave that in 2025. Okay? I hope that was helpful. I hope that resonated with you. With every reading, Mom side eyes me bombastically. I hope your mom prepared you for how I read, and because I just be letting it out. But I hope that it's helpful for you. I hope that the things we uncover have been able to give you a little bit of direction. Superzar, can you tell me your real name so that I know who to look for on the Cash App? I just want to make sure that I'm reading for the right person. I'm going to do Nicole's, and then I'm going to do yours next. If there is anyone else that would like a reading and would like for me to pull some cards for them after Superzar, go ahead and send in your love offering and leave a comment so that I know to get to you. But Nicole, you are up. Okay, Aisha, I got you. Nicole, you are up, then Aisha, and then if there's no one after Aisha, we'll wrap up for the night. But if there's anyone else, send in your love offering, and I got you. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits walk with me. My elevated ancestors. What does Nicole need to know about what she needs to leave in 2025? What is the dead weight, the old energy, the closed path that she needs to get comfortable with leaving at the gate of 2025 so that she doesn't accidentally carry it into 2026 and cause unnecessary blockages or barriers for herself? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Do you guys see now why I bought this deck multiple times, even though it keeps growing legs and walking away from me? It's such a good deck. So very, very clear. And the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Nicole, 2 cards came out stuck together, so I'm going to read them as one, okay? Or I'm going to read them as a joint message. You are another one who, your intuitive insights are very strong, but you don't trust them. You don't feel comfortable or safe to believe what you get in terms of spiritual downloads. So a huge part of the dead weight for you, what's draining you, is that there's a deep need to really work on trusting your intuition. Trusting your intuition. So that you don't put yourself in a position where you logic your way into difficulty. That's the easiest way I can explain it, right? So Page of Cups, somebody who's learning how to trust their intuitive downloads, trust their psychic gifts. That's very much your energy right now. And it's showing up as dead weight because you're spending a little too much time in the uncertainty and not enough time in the trust. The lie that you can no longer tell yourself, you don't have to be zen all the fucking time to be right. You can be a spiritually healed person. The balance that you need to seek is balance for you and not balance for everybody else, right? Temperance is about the stillness that allows us to tap more deeply into our own personal and inner magic, okay? I have a deck called the Illust Tarot, and it's a celebrity tarot deck, and in that deck, Andre 3000 is Temperance. And I love that. Andre 3000 has such a deep awareness of self that he's going to move in the way that is most authentic and most aligned, most in the flow for him. And it's an energy that serves him. And yes, it trickles out into other people, but it starts with him, right? And I think you really understanding that your balance and alignment is for you. It doesn't start with other people. It's not any less valid because other people don't see it or identify it. That's something you really need to let go of. The alignment is about the internal relationship, not the external response from other people, okay? The door that must be closed, the situation or pattern that you have to leave in 2025. You have to shut the door and leave this in 2025, okay? We have the 6 of Pentacles and the Tower. You don't have to overgive to everybody. You are not an institution. Your charity is something that should be seen just as that, as gift and honor and charity. If you give too much and too frequently, it will cause tower moments, specifically around people becoming entitled, specifically around people thinking that you owe them more than what you do, right? So a habit that you have to leave and a door that you need to close in 2025 is one of overgiving to the point of deficit for yourself, okay? Let me know if that resonated with you. Move in a way that is authentic to you. Not just move in a way that's authentic to you, but trust that authenticity. Trust that that authenticity, it brings you closer to God, not further away, right? I think you've heard me say this before. When I first started my spiritual journey, it took me a while to understand my spiritual gifts because they did not look like the majority of people around me. And really doing the internal work of understanding, okay, because these gifts look different, that doesn't make them any less valid. I was in a whole cohort of people, none of them identified as clairsentient. None of them had clairsentience. So I'm sitting here feeling all kind of spiritual shit and downloads all through my body. And because other people don't move that way, they had no feedback to give me, right? Sometimes it's about you. And it's not going to be reflected in external responses from other people. But you have to have such a deep sense of trust that you don't need the external responses from other people, right? Okay. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope that that made sense. All right, we got Super Czar next. And if there is anyone after Super Czar that would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering and put a comment in the comments section. If not, then we will wrap up the evening with them. Sisters, angels, Saint Master, spirits, walk with me. Elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Aisha need at this time about what she needs to leave in 2025? What does she need to leave at the gate of 2025? What needs to stay in 2025 so that she doesn't accidentally carry it into 2026 or accidentally cause any disruptions or delays in the blessings that 2026 has to offer? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. All right, people, you're very welcome to call. I'm grateful that it resonated with you. This is final call for anybody that would like a leave it at the gate reading. If you want to gain insight into what you need to leave behind in 2025 in order to have a peaceful and productive 2026, go ahead and send your love offering and put a question in the comments. I may give this as an option on Sunday as well. We'll see. But for now, for tonight's reading, if you want this reading, go ahead and send your love offering before I am done with Aisha's spread. If I don't have it by then I'm just going to wrap up after her, okay? You're another one who the dead weight you carry is this obligation to be the messenger. You feel this deep obligation to be the truth teller to a lot of people. The person that is the bringer of insight to a lot of folks, the one who run tailed at, right? People kill the messenger all the time. They do. That's why that phrase, don't kill the messenger, exists. So even though the messenger is really excited to be the truth teller and the person that's bringing the wisdom and information, it's not a necessity all the time. Sometimes it's better for them to sit back and focus on what messages are for them so that way they have the clarity to build the life and the reality that they want for themselves, right? So this is actually something that once started from a really good place, and it's now becoming something that really weighs your spirit down. It's causing blockages for you because especially the people that you're giving messages to, they don't want to hear it from you or anybody, right? It doesn't matter how powerful your message is. If it's falling on ears that aren't ready to hear it, that can do more damage to you than it can, do benefit to the other person, right? In the position of the lie, you can no longer tell yourself. There are certain financial moves you need to make in terms of strengthening skill set. And what I mean by that is things with investing, things with maybe even starting a business, right? There's something you need to learn about your relationship through money by actually doing it. And there's a lot of hesitation on your part. So the lie you can no longer tell yourself is that it's safer for you to not take these risks. The more you tell yourself it's safe to not take these risks, the more you never develop that muscle, the more you never gain that experience, and the more you never accumulate further wisdom about how to make your money multiply and open up doors, open roads for you. Okay? The door that must be closed. Now, this is an interesting one. We have star card in reverse. Your spirits really want you to work on your faith. There's still some doubt that you carry. And I don't know about the nature of the doubt. That's something that you may want to dig through further in your personal divinations. But whenever star card shows up in reverse, it's because we carry doubt. There's doubt that makes it hard for us to see, that makes it hard for us to move forward with confidence in our spiritual walk. And they want you to leave whatever that doubt is in 2025. You cannot carry it into 2026, especially because a lot of the spiritual breakthroughs and opportunities you're going to receive, they are dependent on you having a deep trust, not just in your spirits in your court, but in yourself and your personal relationship to God. Okay? So that is your Leave It at the Gate reading, Aisha. I hope that was helpful. I hope that resonated with you. I'm going to assume that no one else wants a reading, and I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. And I want to thank you all for being here. Please do not forget the conversation we had during the first part of the stream. Please do. We live in such a youth-obsessed culture, and it makes people want to show up younger than what they are. But we need elders, and we need to honor elderhood as much and as deeply as we honor youth. There is nothing cute about a 30-year-old woman behaving like a pick-me 19-year-old, begging to be someone's side piece. There is nothing cute about a 45-year-old man having a tantrum that involves firearms and then actively lying and gaslighting about their behavior, not only while doing it, but even after being arrested. Those are all deeply wounded, emotionally stunted behaviors. And when we don't hold ourselves accountable, when we neglect shadow work, it keeps us at the age where we were wounded. So I'm not surprised that he's behaving like a wounded 14-year-old. Not surprised that she's behaving like a rejected 18, 19-year-old. Do your personal work. Check in with yourself and your spirits about where you are with your emotional maturity. Not because you don't want to embarrass yourself, but because you don't want to replicate certain generational curses and patterns. It's so easy for us to judge our ancestors or to judge our elders and be like, how could they do to me X, Y, Z? I can't believe they put me in this position. What are you doing in terms of making sure that you have spiritual maturation so that you don't continue those behaviors? Because a lot of times we will be hard on our elders and we turn around and act just like them. Okay? Love you all. I will see you Sunday night. I will be back here Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. EST for the weekly energy reading. Hope to see you all there. Take care of yourselves. Get plenty of rest. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And until next time, I want you all to take care, okay? Have a great night. Bye.